All right. On June 30th, in Shenzhen, a company called UB Tech walked on stage and dropped what they are calling the world's first full-size, mass-produced ultra-bionic humanoid robot. That just doesn't sound good. The UWORLD U1 starts at $119,000, 800 RMB. Call it 17 grand US. And the internet lost its mind. Well, I saw it, came across my feed with my agents, and they shipped it over to me, and so I responded with, I guess the future is here. China 1. Humanoids are now shipping to your front door. Okay, and look, the video is genuinely stunning. Silicon skin, micro expressions, a face that tracks your eyes across the room. I watched it 3 times, then I read the spec sheet, and I want to walk you through exactly why the thing that looks the most human is the thing you should probably trust the least. Here it is with the first number that they lead in with. 88 degrees of freedom. You know that 8 number in 888 in Chinese is pretty important numerology. A dual pivot biometric cervical spine, that is a robot neck for the rest of us, and it can replicate up to 90% of fundamental human movements. 90%. That sounds incredible, but it's the 10% of that just makes the uncanny valley just too uncanny. That sounds incredible, I guess, but it's also the cheapest 90% in the whole machine. Waving, nodding, tracking face, cocking its head like an Indian. That is a solved problem. That is servos and choreography. The hard 10% picking up coffee cup that has never been seen, catching itself when the floor is uneven, and running 8 hours without a battery swap. That is the 10% where every humanoid company on Earth is currently stuck. They led with the easy 90 and stayed very quiet about the hard 10%. Then the emotional stuff. They are claiming the world's first emotional aware large language model. Do you really want these humanoids to know your emotions and maybe get it wrong? Peter, you look stressed. Brother, that's how I always am. Recognizing more than 20 fine-grained emotional states with over 90% accuracy. So it knows if you are sad, great. My dog knows if I'm sad. And the cost is $40, does not need a firmware update. And here is my favorite spec. They engineered the speech-to-lip synchronization down to 20 milliseconds. Okay, they are marketing the lip sync, which is the tell, right? You market the lip sync when the lip sync is the product, and then the reviews, the UK tech outlet watched the same launch and titled their piece, and I quote, "Creepy pop star action figures, complete with slightly dodgy lip sync." Okay, so maybe they didn't get that so right. So the one spec they bragged about is the exact one the reviewers roasted and toasted. 20 milliseconds on paper, karaoke android in the room. But here's the number that actually matters, and it is the one that nobody is really talking about. As of launch day, cumulative orders passed 13,361 units. Apparently the lonely have money. That is real. That is not a demo. 13,000 people want to put money down. So the question is not, is this fake? It's not fake. The question is, why did 13,000 people buy this thing? And this is where I actually stop laughing. Each unit will incorporate, their words, 3D facial reconstruction and voice print-based identity replication technologies to recreate designated individuals. Read that again. Recreate designated individuals. This is not a factory worker. This is a robot that wears a specific person's face and speaks in a specific person's voice. It's a deep fake with a body. And the first market for a machine that can perfectly impersonate someone you love is not companionship. It is grief. And right behind grief is fraud. And right behind that fraud is a show called Black Mirror. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Isn't that what happened here? Black Mirror coming to life. So now here's where I push back on the pushback. The lazy take flooding my feed right now. Creepy, dystopian robots are replacing humans, right? This is the end of jobs. That's always what floods the feeds. This is a naive read, though, and it's wrong. This thing is not replacing a warehouse worker. It cannot lift the box. It is a $17,000 companionship product for people who are lonely or grieving or both. The labor apocalypse crowd is looking at the wrong threat. The actual risk here is not your job. It is a mass-produced machine that can put a dead person's face on a servo and a stranger's voice in your kitchen. So let me give you the mental model I use for every one of these drops. It's just a movie set. It's just a movie set. A Hollywood Western town looks completely real on camera. Every storefront, every saloon, and every window. Then you walk up and open a door, and it's plywood and dirt behind it. The reveal video is a camera angle. The spec sheet is the door. UB Tech built a spectacular facade, and behind the 90% of movements, well, the problem is they haven't solved the 10%. I will be honest about the limits of my own take here because I'm a scientist before I am a cynic. Mass production is a genuine milestone, and if they actually ship 13,000 units that work, that is real, and if it works, well, then maybe it's doing no harm. The face of the technology is legitimately the best I've seen, and I'm not calling it vaporware, I'm calling it misdirection. The humanoid race will not be won by the prettiest face. It'll be won by whoever makes the boring parts cheap and reliable. The hand, the hip, the 100,000-hour uptime curve, and that announcement will not go viral. Nobody reshares a press release about a gripper that finally actually grips the thing and works. So here is what you actually do with this. When a robot drop looks like a person, turn that sound off and watch the hands, watch the feet, watch what it picks up, and how long it stays on. If they're showing you the face, they are hiding the hands. The one that looks the most human is the one to trust the least, because looking human was the easy part, and they spent the whole budget there. This is the piece. UB Tech built a beautiful door. I just want to know what is behind it before 13,000 of them show up in someone's living room wearing grandma's face. And I'll tell you, that just brings me back to the old Terminator days, you know? Face melt.